I try to keep my nose out of drama unless I'm directly implicated in it, and I keep hearing people sort of like foretelling, like the
Yeah.
church bell tolls. What's happening here? What's going
So
on?
I've done a lot of introspection over the last couple of days because I've been accused of having a real bad case of the VDS,
What did
and
I
I
do?
think, well, here's the thing.
That's happened.
Here's the thing. I think what I actually have is VFDS. I've got Vaush fan base derangement syndrome, which I think is
I've got that too.
Mm.
Look, the people in my
they're-
audience really like Biden. Okay, they're fanboy. It's not even for me. Okay,
I think it boils down to the same old song and dance, honestly. To set aside the jokes. I think it's the vote blue no matter who thing. I think it's the kind of making apologies for Biden thing. I think it's that kind of angle, I think, is probably our sharpest disagreement.
well, the real base position is not making apologies for his bad behavior, but then arguing you have to vote for him anyway, right? That's the real like electoralism pilled. There is no way out. This is what we live with. Attitude to take towards the situation.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I don't like the idea of us just eternally settling for a shitty neoconservative and neoliberal clothing. I don't like that. I don't think that gets us anywhere nice. I think it might stave off some of the worst shit for a couple more years, but I think we end up in the same toilet. No.
I stand by the logic. Fundamentally, nothing has really changed. If there are only two possible options, you have to go with the better of the two. Obviously, like rhetorically speaking, I'm not exactly thrilled to be doing anything that even sounds like defending Biden right now because of what he's doing with regards to the genocide in Palestine.
Right.
So this isn't exactly like a period of time during which I'm going to go out there and proselytize and wave banners around and shoot t-shirt cannons with Biden's face on it into the crowd. Not the time for that. More probably going to focus on tearing down the GOP, but ultimately, like,
isn't it
the
time
same.
now? Isn't it time now more than ever to do that though? I mean, Biden's numbers are tanking, right?
Yeah,
he's pulled up even, and is a lot of polls is losing to Trump. He's losing horribly to generic Democrat, which is like one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my lifetime.
the polling's not good. We're dealing with a difficult situation nationwide. This is like a very complicated time to be involved in politics. We can't do this like, well, I want things to be better, so like, whatever, they're going to win anyway. The Democrats are weak, so the Republicans are going to win anyway. Like, we have to be very thoughtful and considerate
in politics.
I'm sorry?
Name for me a simple time in American politics.
Compared to what we're dealing with right now, where there's like massive breaking news almost every other day with stuff like felony charges against the former president, or like an ongoing genocide, or like the fentanyl crisis. There are so many things now that are more escalated than they were
that
before.
Does seem actually pretty standard issue. I mean, other than
compared to like the
coming up on
Clinton presidency or even the Bush presidency, things are moving so quickly these days. We're at a breaking point. We're at the cusp of a decision that this country is going to have to make about whether or not we accept imperfect democracy or fascism. And at the moment, right now, as a consequence of failures within the GOP, people are trending towards us. They're doing worse with every successive election. We can't give up now. Maybe if we draw things out a little further, maybe the Dems stay annoying, but maybe the Republicans realize they can no longer win elections if they continue to go down this crazy MAGA fascist road, and they have to dial things back a bit. And maybe the threat level gets toned down, the heat gets turned down, and we have the room to breathe again, to make demands and concessions without the fear that our democracy could literally be broken in half with one wrong election result.
I mean, wouldn't that rely on the Republican Party fundamentally becoming a different party than it is now?
It has in the past 20 years. It went from neocon to fascist. If it can go from neocon to fascist, I think we can break them back into being neocons. At the best. I mean, maybe we can make better Republicans.
I mean, it's happened several times.
We can expect more of the Democrats once the Republican Party is pushed back from fascism to neocons again.
I mean, it would be a lot easier, I think, to do the whole "I'm going to threaten to vote for a third party" thing.
Because I still heard all these arguments when it was still just a neocon party.
They're still true. You should still vote for the lesser evil, to be sure. I don't think that abstaining with your vote.
There's no time when we can actually hold the Democrats to a higher standard.
You can't is the thing. You have dreams of doing this, but you can't. Life is suffering. Mostly this. There has never been a point in human history where it hasn't been suffering.
And they call Paul the doomer Jesus.
I know.
No, that's
totally
you have to find joy in it. There will always be the terrible choice you have to make. Yes, life is the whip. At no point in human history.
Well, I don't ever want to hear that I'm a doomer again.
No, this isn't being a doomer. This is being realistic. There has been no point in human history where people have had the luxury of just choosing the political option that made them happy. For most of human history, like 95% of it, and for a majority of people alive today, they don't get a choice. And for the very small portion of people historically that have gotten a choice, it's usually a choice between two lesser evils. And by usually, I mean always. We will never have the luxury to not vote for the lesser evil because electoralism is ultimately about that final say, that final choice.
How about a far lesser evil?
If you then do the groundwork, the media work, the advocacy to popularize those people.
And stop,
it depends on your democratic system too, because not everyone has the American system.
Bernie Sanders nearly won in the primaries in both 2016 and 2020 as a consequence of a lot of work for decades to legitimize progressive perspectives politically. Now,
and he lost as a direct result of the DNC being propped up and allowed to run roughshod over the will of the voters.
Not everything happens perfectly and right when you want it. The difference between Bernie Sanders being a front-runner contender in the primaries and what the Democratic Party was like just 20 years before that is massive. The difference, like people are like, well, he didn't win. Okay, and we're not all rich. We don't have unicorns, you know. Bernie Sanders, it would have been nice if he had won, but the difference between the Clinton years in terms of what was acceptable, what progressive policies could be put forward, what you could say on TV, and 16 years later with Bernie Sanders, remarkable. But when you talk over that, when you say, well, he didn't win, you're stamping on that legacy. Real progress takes work. Thousands of people, broken bodies, blood, effort, sweat, tears, and a lot of suffering. But eventually, maybe you get it, and the victory is worth all the suffering before, all the work that it takes to end slavery or to legalize gay marriage. And it takes decades and a lot of people's misery. But when you get there, it's worth it. Union workers died to give us the weekend.
Let's talk about workers for a second, because we've silently, in repayment for the blood, sweat, and tears that workers shed on the line, we've kind of silently, fecklessly, with a just insurmountably cringy shrugged off the economic degradation that's happened in this country. All of their hard-won gains in the labor space have been given back. Yeah, I think that we need to immediately divest ourselves from the two-party system and immediately come up with a better way of doing things. A third party is only ineffectual because largely because the people whose votes would help it believe that, there's no point in doing it, so whatever. And that kind of seems like what you're preaching here.
You're the one making that argument for voting for Biden.
Let's not waste any of our time trying to create a new workers' party in this country because it's just pointless anyway.
Or just trying to push the Democratic Party left from where it is.
That's
not even necessarily left, but just like, hey, these things you guys promise, why don't you actually try to do them?
That's happening.
And why don't you? I mean, very ineffectually, in my opinion.
Yeah, because you have to pay attention to the details. Recently, the White House has been flustering on its position with regards to Israel's support of the genocide going on in the Gaza Strip because they've been
Reagan ended that shit with a phone call in his administration. Biden could do the same.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Prop up Israel. All Biden would have to do is be like, hey, knock that shit off, and they would stop.
I'm not arguing that Biden is doing great here. I'm saying that real work is being done at every level.
This is about the complexity issue, because I think you say I'm oversimplifying. I think you're overcomplicating. Because I think that, a tire iron can do the job sometimes.
No, nobody is tire ironing.
You can go to Joe Manchin and threaten his ass.
No, you can't do that.
Like, hey, you do like
what you're speaking out of frustration.
Look how quickly Joe Manchin folded, dude. Look how quickly he folded the minute a Republican challenger rose up. Joe Manchin's like, I'm not going to bother seeking re-election. And then we're told like, oh, he was
Jim
such a valuable
Justice, yeah.
Democrat.
Because no
Who else is
Democrat
going to get
could have.
elected with a D next to their name there? It's like, well, it doesn't matter if he's got a D next to his name if when he's needed the most, he just says, well, sayonara, motherfuckers, see ya.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Joe Manchin is a great ally, but what you're suggesting, I assume, is to literally like threaten him into being a better Democrat. It doesn't.
Can I give you two historical
just
examples?
threaten him to vote our way on
wanna
a big
give you
issue.
two-
Do not go back
two
100. If you no. If you genuinely believe that the solution to like a gridlock in the Senate would have been the actual literal threatening of someone there, you would create impeachment and presidential scandals that would blanket the remainder of the presidency and lock the
I don't think if you went about it right. I don't think if you went about it right. Yeah,
Pretty sure a lot of presidents have used their muscle in some interesting ways.
So what if he doesn't have any leverage?
Hold on. Let me give you two historical examples where this very tactic has been used and worked. Lincoln used it. He had a whole bunch of operatives who were paying off people left and right, threatening people with investigation, promising promotions within his administration, and he managed to get slavery abolished.
What do you think? Okay, well, there was a civil war there as well. What do you think he could have offered Manchin?
Okay, so let me give you the second example because that's kind of the answer. LBJ. Now, I don't want anybody saying that I'm making excuses for the Johnson administration. He was a piece of shit. He's got the blood of Southeast Asia up to his elbows on his hands. You can't rehabilitate his image. But one thing you can say about LBJ was he knew how to strong arm a motherfucker.
You have no idea what you're talking about. What you're engaging in right now is not enlightened leftist perspective. You're engaging in bottom of the barrel, South Park, Cartman-ass tier, zero IQ, centrist, moderate, hasn't learned a thing about politics in their entire life, bullshit equivacy. How dare you? You claim to care about the legacy of your Union parents. You would literally preside over a death camp and go, well, you know, Biden probably would have done this too. Like, it's disgusting.
What?
It's senseless. If you genuinely believe that there is a comparison to be made, I beg you to educate yourself because there is none. It is not comparable.
I think that there's an obvious comparison to be made, and I've brought up the reasons why over and over tonight, and you seem to get more and more frustrated every time I do, but I don't hear an answer to it. You keep saying things are getting so much better. I'm saying while things got better on one hand, they got far worse on another. And you seem to want to divorce. You seem to want to divorce your tactic from that problem. When the truth, Vaush,
you don't need to divorce two things that were never married.
The truth is, I don't have a hazy memory when it comes to what it was like to live under George W. Bush or Barack Obama. I'm not 12, bro. All right, I was a tax-paying 9-to-5 worker during both of those presidencies. So let's be real about this shit.
You're literally doing the bit too right now. You're like, well, I wore my blue jeans to work.
Well,
you don't know shit, dude.
Maybe I'll remember how it went. Yeah, I know that.
You think is wise cynicism. Like, you think you're like, wait, Rick Sanchez? You just don't know shit. You do not know. This is why you keep running back to the same, well, Biden's bad. I know. Great. Tune into my streams. Find out more reasons he's bad. You think you're brave or evocative for pointing out that things have gotten bad? That
you need to write a book like
everyone knows this.
How Biden is the worst thing to ever exist and why you should still vote for him. That would be
99% Hitler, buddy. Look,
yeah, I know.
It's fundamentally disqualifying in a conversation about politics for you to pretend that there's an equivacy between previous and current Republican attitudes towards the dissolution of democracy. This is not this would be like you saying, well, they're both equally bad on climate change when one of them doesn't believe in it, except you did do this, of course. I'm making fun of you. One of them doesn't believe in it, and the other person is just not good enough on it. There's no point in making comparisons. You clearly have a very strong emotional attachment to being a disillusioned, doomer, like cynic for whom nothing will ever be good enough. And that's fine, but don't pretend it's politics.
As I am, so you shall be, my friend.
I'll be whipping around to like fake calm after freaking out when I called you a kid isn't going to make people forget about the earlier part.
I know that relegating lived experience to some dude with no teeth sitting on his porch going, back in my day, the blacks weren't so uppity or whatever is the easy way to do this. And I also understand that it's the easy way to do this to just go like, oh, you're fucking retarded, bro. Like, I could do that too, Vaush. I could sit here and call you yeah, you did. You said I was stupid and simplistic and didn't learn anything from my life.
Started, but wrong.
Hold on. I understand that the fact that
Well, that'd be foolish.
I've lived through your stated goals and your vaunted bullshit my whole life. You think vote blue no matter who is some kind of like edgelord bread tube thing that you came up with?
Just math.
I lived it. I was you 20 years ago. I canvassed for John Kerry. I canvassed for Al Gore. I was out there going like, look, dude, I know these guys suck, but we can't handle another George W. Bush presidency. You know what else isn't new? This argument that you're making that the world's about to end if Trump gets elected. Democracy has been over every election if we don't vote Democrat since God was a boy, bro. This is not a new edge that you're slinging. You're slinging old hash.
I don't
You're
like
slinging
you're
old hash.
arguing against the concept of math. You're basically saying, bro, you've been telling me to breathe air my entire life, and you and it hasn't even fixed my debt. I'm still in debt. Like, what do you like? My student loans haven't gotten paid yet.
No. I'm not saying I'm still in debt. I'm saying I'm in worse debt than my parents were.
Yeah, then manage your finances better. Look, I don't know what to tell you, okay?
We've gotten
around to this.
Dick. Manage your That's why people are working 3 jobs, right? Manage your finances better. You posh, rich Beverly Hills, lily white, milquetoast piece of shit. How do you even open your bourgeois mouth to talk to workers?
The best case scenario, the best outcome here possible is that this just ends up being another like tepid, meaningless whatever. You can continue complaining after Biden wins in 2024.
Better.
I don't want to be proven right on this.
What a total dick, dude.
In the
manage your finance. Yeah, why don't you go talk to the exploding homeless population here in California? Oh, dude,
march of history.
You realize you're basically Patrick Bateman when he bent over to talk to that homeless guy. You should get a job, Hal. What are you gonna pull the knife out and slit me in my dog's throat? You total corporate zombie.
Okay,
you should manage your finances better. Go and your rich ass self.
So as is being increasingly evidenced, I think you have a very strong emotional attachment to this particular subject.
Yes, look, I do, because I was raised in a labor leftist household where we didn't namby-pamby around and pussyfoot around in politics and make doomerist bullshit.
Didn't you just say your parents voted blue consistently?
They did, yeah.
Then there we go. That's your pussy politics. What do you want?
Yeah. My parents also hit the line.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, nice.
I don't understand. If you think that I'm offended by the concept of your parents being harder workers than you, I'm not. I think it's cool, you know? People used to work pretty hard for their livings. Nowadays, they still do,
my
but
parents
in different ways.
Are harder workers than me now? What do you know about my work history, Vaush?
About as much as you've yelled at me during the course of this conversation.
Me and T Dad was a famous scammer, so we don't know shit about work. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you can talk to them about that, but if you're going to talk to me about my chops as a laborer, I've been employed since I was 16 years old.
Well,
I just want to ask, you know, we talk a lot in here about the preservation of democracy.
Right.
And I'm kind of curious why that's even being tossed out as a value when apparently there's only one party that you can vote for, like functionally. I mean, according to you, Vaush, you can only functionally vote for Democrats or democracy is destroyed. So doesn't that mean democracy is kind of already destroyed because there's only one party you can vote for?
There's a strong possibility it could be. You didn't say. I mean, like at certain.
Right.
We do have like very institutionally cemented parties, but there is a very strong correlation for the most part between what people want and what actually happens in our government. Now, that's not a perfect relationship. Obviously, for one, like
I've read studies that say the opposite, that we're functionally an oligarchy and that it basically
I'm familiar with the study you're referring to.
You know, you've heard this study, I'm sure.
Yes, there are critiques of its methodology, but still, if you want to make that comparison to how, say, like China's relative like aspect ratio functions on that, it's not perfect. And a good example
better
of
than
it,
China, great, good for us.
Well, they're not a democracy, but a good example of like a problem with this, of course,
I mean, neither are we really, but
is manufactured consent, where even if people want something, they can be told to want something by being lied to or being sort of selectively given information. And as a consequence of that, like democracy there is sort of a sham. If you want to change things, you have to change the systems. Changing systems is hard and takes time. The best way to do that is to leech existing power and institutions and soapboxes. We do that through the Dems. We see good outcomes. We have seen good outcomes. The math is on my side. The science on my side. History on my side. On your side, a childish indignation and unwillingness to participate, and a flagrant disregard for the threat fascists pose to this country.
I've
Very
not
leftist of you.
advocated non-participation. So.
Very leftist of you.
And neither one of us is advocating that. Here's that old crazy straw man again.
Yeah, you might want to wait till we're not on here.
We'll
before
let the
you straw man.
historians decide.
This is definitely shit that I would reserve for the shit talk post show, where we're not here to like call you on it over and over.
Like that's not what we
and
said.
By the way, I would like to add to further the discussion. You're just a big old baby, Vaush, and I find it hard to explain to your monosyllabic child's mind the very idea of resisting your oppressors when the world is burning. I find it impossible to elucidate to your tiny little toddler of a mind what the broad scope and the based revolutionary nature of my position, Vaush.
You appreciate how I didn't talk over you, so you could really focus on every syllable?
Feel, bitch? How do you like that? I'm not a child. There's no children present. Okay, thank goodness. There's no children present.
Why would you call me monosyllabic, but then make fun of me for using vocab words? Shouldn't you have said polysyllabic?
Monosyllabic is the word that I used, and it means that you only use one syllable because you dumb. That's what it means.
Is that what I'm known for? But then you said immediately. All right, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
I'm also not known for
bit you want to go for.
I'm also not known for being a uninformed child, despite what some of the people in your chat and community might parrot.
Well, you've shirkins otherwise tonight. Look, I don't know. I just okay. I don't want fascism to win. For this I am castigated. I am like Christ on the cross. They nail me to the cross because I believe that the fascists should not win the presidential election. In my corner, agreeing with me, is everyone who does advocacy work for everything meaningful that gives us joy and light in our lives. And on your side, I guess there's, I don't know, habitual pot smokers. I feel like we've made the arguments. I feel like we've made our cases. We can leave it to time, history, and in my case, the unerring laws of mathematics to determine who is correct.
Got it. All right. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. Well, you know what? One more thing before you leave, Vaush. One quick thing. It won't turn into a big thing. I just wanted to say from my heart, good day, sir.
Thanks for having me on, lads. I hope you do well.